Hello there! This is an instructional video on how to conjugate perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect passive verbs. Let's get started, shall we? Disciplus contactus est. This is Latin for the student was hit. Now, this sentence uses the perfect passive verb form. In Latin, perfect passive verbs are made by taking the verb's participle stem, the fourth principal part, and adding the present tense of the verb to be. You know, sum, est. But make sure the participle ending agrees with the subject's gender and number. Also, don't forget to check that you have the right tense and number of the verb to be. Perfect passive verbs are translated as X was blanked. This is how contactus est turned into the student was hurt. Simple, right? Now let's move on. In this sentence, the verb in red is a pluperfect passive form, vulneratus erat. This sentence translates to, the student had been hurt. Pluperfect passive verbs are very similar to perfect passive ones. You still take the verb's participle stem, but instead of the present tense, you tack on the imperfect tense of the verb to be. Aram, aras, arat. Again, make sure the participle agrees with the subject's gender and number. Note the tense and number of the verb to be. Pluperfect passive verbs translate as X had been blanked. So, in the sentence Disciplus vulneratus erat, the verb vulnero is in the pluperfect passive form and translates to the student had been hurt. Now let's move on to the last verb form. The sentence Disciplus con motus sit translates to the student will have been traumatized. Ah, student, Lady Luck is never on your side. Much like the perfect and pluperfect passive, the future perfect passive takes the verb's fourth principal part, but adds on the future tense of the verb to be. Sim, sis, sit. After you make sure your participle and subject agree, again, make sure you note the tense and number of your sims, sisses, and sits or what have you. Sentences using future perfect passive verbs are translated as X will have been blanked. Hence why con motus sit makes the sentence translate to the student will have been traumatized. Let's review. For perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect verbs, make sure you take the verb's participle stem and add either the present, imperfect, or future tense of the verb to be. Of course, remember to have your participle ending and subject agree on gender and number, and note the verb to be's number and tense. For perfect sentences, translate them as X was blanked. For pluperfect, X had been blanked. And finally, for future perfect, X will have been blanked. Now you are prepared to conjugate perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect verbs. Thank you for watching this video, and as always,